I just saw another article in France. If you shout at your wife or someone on the street, forget racist terms, you will be arrested. France to criminalize shouting at your wife or husband. Everything is being made illegal. Everything to catch us in a net. That's how they enslave you, is they make laws for things that aren't criminal. This is new slavery. The new slavery is here. It's global. It's engineered. Revolt. We are being baptized into slavery. We are being initiated into total tyranny. A psychiatric / police state grid where if you're seen yelling at your children, they're taken. Not even a law. Not even real courts set up under the eugenics courts. What courts do you think issued orders to have people sterilized in the 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s? Over 500,000 women in the U.S. The eugenics courts, you know them as the family courts. You know them as that system where the judge and the CPS, no jury, to protect the children, there's no jury. Can't trust the citizens. They say we decide yelling at your children. Now, yelling at your wife. London Telegraph. France to criminalize shouting at your wife. Married couples could be arrested and charged for insulting each other under new law in France banning psychological violence. But if police dogs want to bite old ladies coming out of a shopping mall with bags in their hands and hit crowds with sound cannons, that's okay. The violence intensifies on television, the murder, the tyranny, the corruption, the images, the dehumanization. But then if a child in art class is asked to draw a picture of their parents, they draw a picture of their father who's a police officer with a gun, the child is arrested and put under psychiatric care. That's in the news every week. Again, they put out these messages, and then when people buy into it, oh, you can play video games where you're slaughtering and killing and butchering people, where you run false flag attacks, like the new #1 video game on store shelves. That's all okay. You can love Jack Bauer on TV when he tortures someone's child to get answers and stops L.A. from being nuked. You can love the Army's report where they admit they rape children in front of their parents in camps all over the world. That's good. They can body scan your little children and your wife and save their naked images and use the biometric body scan however they want. That's good. But don't you raise your voice. I told you, everything going on in the public schools is what is being rolled out worldwide for adults. More than 15 years ago, the federal government began in grants and studies and training to tell schools to ban. And the insurance companies that gave them insurance said, ban running, ban dodgeball, ban catch, ban tag, ban you're it, ban talking, ban hugging, ban shaking hands, ban everything. Put them on Prozac, put them on Ritalin. But you don't want to put your children in the government training camps. You don't want them to be taught all these bizarre sexual practices at age 7. You don't want them to be questioned about what's in mommy and daddy's medicine cabinet. Do mommy and daddy raise their voice? You don't want them to be shown cartoons that show polar bears and penguins drowning and to come home with little mock ticket books writing you tickets, mock tickets for the offenses of taking a hot bath or leaving the sink water on while you brush your teeth. That's in the news every day, the media praising children all over the U.S. coming home with federally written programs to tattle, and they're training to be the spies. I told you 6 years ago the feds had taken over the Boy Scouts with the Explorer Scouts for training them for gun confiscation and part of Amerika, Secure Corps. Told you that 8 years ago, actually. It was first in the Philadelphia Daily News. How great it was. Then the New York Times shows Explorer Scouts training with guns, and it showed photos, scores of color photos of the dead U.S. veterans who refused to turn their guns in. They put it in the newspaper. It's hellish, in your face. They're going for broke. They're dropping the bomb on us right now. They're moving in right now. And then the L.A. Times reports 2 weeks ago, oh, the L.A. Police Department, other departments around the country, they're running with the Pentagon. Public schools will now be Pentagon centers run by the Army and police. And we want the troubled youth. Yes, the thugs. That's what the Nazis did and the Soviets and the Maoists did. And it says, the police departments are taking over the Boy Scouts. They no longer will even run it. The police departments will openly run these divisions with children training as literal Hitler Jugend. And so you don't want to put your children in school. Folks, if I knew what I knew now, of course I wouldn't have been in public school. I went to public school. I went to public school in kindergarten in the first grade in a bad part of Dallas. Then, and I remember them bringing in the fluoride pills we all had to eat. I remember getting a huge headache and throwing up every time they did it, every month. It wasn't placebo. It wasn't psychosomatic. I thought it was candy. I remember getting sick with those red pills. A dose that they admit is incredibly toxic. Thousands of times what's in a pitcher of water. And then I remember my parents putting me in a Christian school until the 6th grade, and they put me back in public school. And I got off that school bus, and I walked into that public school, and kids with mustaches in the 6th grade, kids who were 13, 14 years old, who'd flunked 4 or 5 times, began beating me up, and the teachers wouldn't do anything. And sure, it made me tough. And I remember the vicious social behavior and the kids competing for the shoes and clothes they wore and the vicious social engineering. And it's a lot worse now. You know that. Hundreds of times worse conservatively. And I remember I didn't use drugs. And I remember in the 8th grade in the football field house over and over and over and over and over again. It turned out this football player's brother in high school had been caught with drugs. And so they told him, go get us a bunch of people, rat out a bunch of people, and we'll let you off. And they even got his little brother in a separate school to go around and beg everyone to bring him marijuana, to sell him marijuana. And then months later, they had a big bust, and it turned out several kids had gone to their big brothers and said, please, my buddy, the cool kid on the football team, it was the cool kid. See how they know how to prey on everybody? They got one of the cool kids on the football team to go around to all the kids that wanted to be cool, and he took him months to get them to bring him small amounts of marijuana. That's your stinking degenerate government, while the Pentagon openly runs the opium out of Afghanistan. Openly ships the cocaine in the 1980s when I was in school. It's a predator, criminal government. Most of them know full well what they are doing. Now, if someone gets caught with an aspirin, they get charged with felonies in schools. If someone doesn't put their Ritalin in a proper container, they get charged with felonies. They push the drugs, illegal and legal, on you, and then when they catch you with them, I see reports every couple of days of old ladies pulled over. And the cops in these predatory towns all over the country, New Jersey, Texas, are some of the ones that pop up the most, Michigan, California, with these predatory small towns, models, just microcosms of the towns above them, and the states and the corruption that runs rampant above them. They will pull over old ladies and say, do you have any medication, ma'am? And they'll say, I sure do, sonny. And old ladies like to put their little pills, their heart medication, and if any of it's prescription, they don't care. They go to jail and they take their car and take their money because you had drugs. Doesn't matter if you had a prescription at home. The letter of the law. We're going to throw the book at you, you old lady. They are passing regulations and laws that are completely unconstitutional and preying on everyone. And all over Austin, and I've seen other cities similar, they have these magazines and newspapers called Busted. And they put all the people's mugshots, and everybody buys them. And it's become a gladiatorial sport, an enjoyment to see all the poor people that have been arrested and picked up. And you read in there, all the families arrested because a neighbor saw them spank their child. Your kids are in the backyard, your 10-year-old slugs their 4-year-old brother in the face, You come out and you spank him, the neighbor's looking out their window. They call the police. It's not illegal under the law, but the CPS is above the law. They decide it's abuse, and then that's illegal. It's all color of law, and then your child, that very night, your children are in there in the CPS rape rooms. I see reports every day without looking of CPS caught running child porn rings and child rape rings. You see CPS on the news, always big Nelly pedophiles. Always sicko women that like little girls. Just running everything, doing whatever they want, getting away with everything, raping everyone, enjoying themselves. A huge hell house of torture and pain and misery. Just having their way and just spreading like a cancer, metastasizing all over the body.